Welcome back, everyone. This is the DomainSherpa Review Aftershow, where we discuss anything on the minds of the panel, the portfolios, the lightning round, how Page doesn't own his own domain name and the extension that he's promoting right behind him, anything you want. What do you guys want to start with?
First, Mike, I'd like to say that we need to get out in the open. This time, the error when I got booted really wasn't my fault. We know whose fault it was. We know whose fault it was.
You see how easy it is to piss me off. I can just block you like that.
He kept asking me to get back in. I kept saying, "You're blocked by a user. You're not welcome." But we found out who it was, and it's all fixed.
It's like the old Sunday morning news show. Adam Dicker, response. You're out of here.
Yeah.
Don't leave with the porn stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting how you just seem to have that. What's your research process to figure out if a domain name is associated with a porn star, Adam?
Well, whenever I see a person's name, I want to know who the heck they are, so that, I want to see if it's a typo or if it's somebody that I may be interested in because they're into internet marketing, or if they're into other things. I want to see what they're doing. So,
how long did you research that one for? A couple of hours?
No, if you just punch her name in right on the top bar, it says she's a porn star in Singapore, so it's pretty easy. I'll do some more personal research for you, Michael, later.
That's what I thought.
And see if I can find more on her.
All right, Mike Berkens.
No wonder I have cramps in my hand.
Mike Berkens, you watched some. Do I need to label this NSFW? Mike Berkens, you watched some football. You said 1&1 was advertising on the football game. What was the advertisements?
The advertisement was for people to go and start to register their new GTLD domains. And the full commercial was dedicated to the new GTLDs. We talked about 700 plus new web extensions that are coming soon, and go get yours. So, it raises, for me, it raises a lot of issues. Right now, obviously, since you can't go and register a new GTLD, if you go to 1&1, we are taking pre-reservations. So they're not taking money from anybody. So I guess, one thing we could talk about is it a wise decision to, spend, probably this could be tens of millions of dollars advertising something that you can't sell right now or get paid for right now. And then the second issue I guess I have with it is it seems like there's going to be a certain percentage of the general population that are going to be quite confused over this whole, TV media attempt as far as, they're going to go to 1&1 and they're going to register computer.web or something, and it kind of looks like to a certain portion of people, they think they're going to get it.
Yeah.
There are some disclaimers on 1&1's site, but not a lot of them, and there's a lot of obvious things that could happen that are not stated on the site that would prevent somebody from getting the domain they go ahead and pre-register. So.
Well, let's start there. So, do you think that it was wise for 1&1 to start promoting these when they're not even available yet? What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know. I personally, don't. I really don't think so. I don't think it's wise to advertise something that can't be obtained, and I guess of which also you can't charge for.
Yeah. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. I think it's kind of stupid to put something out that you can't buy. It is a big tease, and Mike's right. There's going to be a lot of confusion if people think they're going to get it and they don't. Even when I put some in at Enom or other places, it said you got it, but then you go in, it says, well, there's 8 bidders or 3 bidders or whatever it is. But I think the biggest surprise is that Michael actually watched the commercials instead of getting food or going to the bathroom during the commercials, like most people.
I got 5 TVs going with different games, so I saw that.
Oh, there you go.
I saw the commercial, and it was an excellent commercial. Let me tell you, it was a fantastic commercial. So as far as commercial goes, it was great. The timing may be a little bit off, only because, if it ain't out yet, and it's we don't know how long it's going to be before they actually do get out. and the confusion that it's going to cause the end user to begin with. It's like, I mean, I understand getting to the market first, especially after the post I made about a week ago about, what happens if the first 10 guys out of the gate are all a bunch of .mobis or something and they all fail, and what does that do to the other extensions? It's going to, so, I mean, I can understand them trying to get out ahead of 700 other horses that are going to get out of the gate at the same time. I mean, this is going to be a very crowded, there's going to be a lot of elbows flying, let me tell you, a lot of elbows.
But they won't be at the same time because of this rolling release. So next March, you're going to be told that if you want .wiki, it's in the middle of sunrise period, and you can enter into a pre-release auction to buy these competitive names. And at the same point, if you want .forum, they're taking indications of interest, and it'll be out next year. But then if you want .blog, there's 3 guys still bidding on it, and they're not sure who's really going to get it, but we'll take a pre-order. And so you're going to have, I mean, I think a lot of people still don't know how to register a domain name, and typing it in and getting a reply email from one-on-one isn't that far away from what happens when you really do register a domain name. To pick up on Mike's point, and you can start walking around thinking you have it, there's probably a good chance you could start buying hosting from one-on-one for a domain name that you don't even have, because that's really what their service is designed to do, is to have the domain name be hosted there, and then you enter their management system for that. So,
okay, but yeah, be staggered. 700 extensions, they can't be staggered by months. I mean, that much. I mean, if they were one a month for the next 700 months, I mean,
well, but it's over 2 years, so that's, what is it, Mike, about 150 or 200 a month?
It's supposed to be 20 a week. 20 a week delegated when they start delegating. So that, just so I guess I should make a point that on the site they do have a live counter. At the moment, they have 1.65 million pre-reservations, and just sitting here in the last few minutes as we're chatting about it, I'm looking at about 300 more pre-registrations. I guess the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems I guess I have with this concept and one-on-one, is that it does, they are only taking one, to their credit, they're only taking one pre-reservation per name, which is unlike some of the other places that are taking pre-reservations. So, for example, computers.web is already pre-registered, and it's telling you it's pre-registered, and it's telling you can go on a waiting list, but they're not taking multiple pre-registrations. But they're also not telling people that there's another 1,000 registrars out there that can get that name as well as one-on-one. So it almost makes it sound, if you read sort of through all the disclaimers, that if you got it through one-on-one, you're kind of going to get it. I mean, you really have to know a lot about domain names to understand what's involved. So there's a certain percentage of people that are going to register a name and maybe not buy a .com right now, because they think, hey, I got this name, and it's I don't know, it may not be next month, it may not be next year, but I got it. I mean, I'm the one. There's nobody else that can get it. I've got it through one-on-one. And it may hurt the aftermarket.
Is this one-on-one's way to compete with GoDaddy to try and build up a email marketing list to clearly GoDaddy sells the most amount of domain names, hand registrations in the world, and they make their money from all the after services that come up. Whenever I think of one-on-one, I think of it is the after services. They're primarily known as web hosting and ancillary services. Is this their way to build up their registration base and try and steal money away from GoDaddy?
Yeah, obviously building up a client list to get email addresses. They will get a portion of these web addresses registered and get customers from it. They'll obviously be able to pitch them on all the other products. Mm-hmm. So, it's definitely sort of an interesting approach. I'm concerned that there's going to be some portion of the public, it may be 1%, it may be 20%, it may be 50%, that go get one of these addresses and think they're going to have it.
Yeah.
When in fact the name may not even be available. It may be reserved by the registry.
Right. Rick, you agree there's a play to
It's exactly what I was sitting here and thinking, is these guys are for real, they're serious, and they're going right after GoDaddy, and I think it's smart. like I said, it's going to be a very crowded field, and there's a lot of horses coming out of the gate, and I just think it's brilliant, actually. You know, I mean, really, I mean, I think they know what they're doing. I mean, I think a lot of these guys are going to be really caught flat-footed in all of this because they're really not prepared to go to market. I don't think they're, and look, one-on-one is showing them they're not prepared because they're already on it. They're way ahead of them. They're a field apart right now. So, yeah, I'm very impressed, especially if you haven't seen the commercial. Go see it. It is an excellent commercial. You know I'm not big on GTLDs, but I'm telling you, this is an excellent commercial.
Great. And I'll post a link to the commercial below if I can find it on YouTube.
But I still think it's disinformation. It's like going to a concert and, you know, Led Zeppelin's going to play at 8 p.m. and you get there at noon and no one's sitting in the front row and you grab that seat and you think you're going to get it. And then about 2 hours before the show starts, they come in with the big tape and they say, no, all these seats are reserved and we're going to auction these off and we're going to do something special with them. And, you know, we let you think you might be number one, but really there's a bunch of other people. And I just think how we treat, you know, new entrants into the marketplace makes a difference. And right now it's basically saying we hope you don't know what you're doing, that you think you might be getting this, but when push comes to shove, unless you've seen what happens like in a .co Sunrise with the competitive bid auctions from multiple registrars all going after names, what one-on-one's really saying, in my opinion, is we're willing to sell you that name for a premium price for being a pre-registrant if no one else wants it by the time the Sunrise, the Land Rush, the Gold Rush, and the competitive bid starts. And if you're still the only one that wants that name, you can have it at that point. And we have all this stuff to happen in the interim, times 2,000 extensions.
So is it misleading at best, or is it just too complicated for the masses to understand?
It's one-on-one's problem. Why is everyone worried? If there's going to be fallout, it'll be fallout to one-on-one. Meanwhile, they have 1.6 million names, 1.6 million emails, 1.6 million new customers. You know, come on, look at the numbers. No one else is even in the game. They're blowing everyone away right now, regardless.
Well, that's not true. I mean, United has been taking pre-reservations.
Okay, so then why go after one-on-one? If someone's already doing it, you can't say, well, we're misleading people. Hey, it is what it is. The whole thing is misleading to begin with, and we wouldn't have 700 new extensions coming out.
Right. Well, how many people, I guess from our standpoint, being domain owners and trying to, you know, sell domains fairly actively, or most domainers are, is anybody concerned? I mean, I have some concerns that there's buyers out there that instead of buying the domain today, .com or .something today, that they're going to go ahead and get one of these pre-registrations and just assume, or just, you know, reading what they can read, that they're going to get, that they got this name. And they're going to have it at some point in time, and they don't need another domain.
I think at the same time that all this new supply is coming on board, the fact that more existing names are being priced and available for sale at reasonable prices, the same hypothetical problem that they're trying to solve from 15 years ago, if you're out there and you have a good name that'll help your business, there's never been a better time to buy a com, net, or org than right now, based upon the potential effects that you're talking about, Michael. But I think that the right action is probably to buy something now because of the uncertainty.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at one-on-one site, I mean, just the few extensions they sort of have and their little logo up there. You have things like .web, which has a lot of applicants at the moment. Nobody's quite sure, obviously, who's going to actually wind up with it and when that's going to come out. They're highlighting .inc, which is questionable. Most of the states, secretaries of states in each of the states, don't want you to be able to register .inc unless you actually have a corporation with that name, some registered in one of the states. There's .nyc is going to have, I believe, some sort of restriction as far as residency, or you have to have some ties to the city to get a name, at least initially. And a lot of these are in contention, and we don't know who the registry is going to be that's going to operate them, what the price is going to be, what's going to be available or not available, and some have gap objections and all sorts of stuff.
All right, let's talk about nominets.uk, top-level domain. Right now, companies in the UK can go register .co.uk. It is the de facto company code or country code for the United Kingdom. Do we need a top-level .uk? Rick?
Hey, you got 700 others. Who cares? Let's have a party. What difference does it make?
What's one more, right?
It doesn't matter.
The shorter, the better. Doesn't it matter if the shorter, the better? Why type in 3 extra characters?
Is that what your wife tells you, Mike? Shorter the better? Anyway.
All right, I'm about to block Adam again. Hold on, guys.
As far as the domain goes, I mean, it's I'll get into that later. As far as the domain goes, I think there's a lot of opportunity for it. I think a lot of .uk or .co people are going to be pissed off. I think that it's still going to sell because it's all about making money. And I think if they do what they did in Canada here was they did something like that. You had .on.ca for Ontario and CA, and then they went and they deregistered it, and they have to give first right of refusal to the people that had the .co.uk, but they're not gonna. So they're gonna create havoc. A lot of companies are gonna be upset. A lot of battles for trademarks, and it's gonna be a bit of a headache. But like Rick says, as far as the other new 700. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be so great. I think it's going to be good for people who are smart enough to think about branding opportunities. So it's the same thing. I mean, it's not so much getting the domain name. It's good. It's about the branding and picking a domain name that you can brand with. So as far as the UK goes, they're going to do it anyway, whether you and I say yes or no, and it's all about money.
Yep.
I found a story yesterday, maybe even more interesting, about there's a movement, I guess, and they're looking at, Nomnet's looking at potentially not allowing domains that have offensive words or terms in it, which of course is problematic because the names are out there already. I wrote a blog post on that. There's a couple of other stories about it. Obviously the 7 dirty words and other, terms and offensive words seems to be a little bit broader than, we might all agree on. So I think that's kind of problematic. I don't know what if they're planning on going back and taking names away from people that have them already or have them. Interesting.
Right. And what do you do? What's offensive to you isn't necessarily offensive to me.
Certainly won't be offensive to Adam.
I have a high tolerance.
Paige Howe, you're a financial guy. Domain.com says they're going to do an IPO, and from the proceeds, they want to spend $100 to $110 million to buy DirectD out in India.
Well, I like Michael's reporting that it's kind of if we raise the money, then this is how we're going to spend it. So I thought I appreciated your comment on that, Michael, on your blog. I think it's been a roll up. My only experience with Endurance has been enduring the hassles of trying to get my names with them, but they say I don't have and I do have. And because they're more of a hosting company where they hold domains there, everything's built around these value-added services, and in managing those services, I think they've lost their responsibility in my rights as a registrant of managing the domain name that I have. So I think, we're seeing a lot of companies. Another ad that I saw over the weekend was for a company called Squarespace that's saying, what to do next after you get your domain. Start a store, start a something. So I think, people are making it easier for people to build their own websites and control, own something on the internet. And the domain name, is part of that. But I think more power to them. They're growing. Their business model is tough because they pay out so much money to buy a customer, to get a hosting customer, that they earn it back over time. That I think in Michael's thing, you talked about them losing $100 million on $400 million of revenue. But it's the type of thing where if we, amortize everything out, then we're really making money, even though we're losing money. But it's more money, and I hope somehow it benefits me.
Is it weird that they said that we're going to do an IPO and this is what we're going to buy if we raise the money? Or do you actually need to specify what you plan to use the money for?
No, it's been done before. I mean, it's pretty common to say we're going to close them both at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, I guess people would be more excited about potentially buying the shares to give them another reason to own shares of the IPO, because it's not only a company that owns registrars and hosting companies, it's going to also be a business that's going to own registries, and so plus some a big amount of registrars that are going to be added to their portfolio through DirectEye and Logic boxes, and they have probably a few hundred registrars under that umbrella. So it's probably a good move for them.
Yeah.
And the stocks, stocks of these public companies have done fairly well. I mean, Two Cows has done very well. Web.com has done very well. Demand, hasn't done, that great, but I mean, there's other things in Demand other than the registrar portion right now, although they're looking to spin it out.
What do you think, Adam?
I don't really have an opinion on this one. I'll just go along with the other guys. I mean, I think it's interesting, but I don't have much opinion on it.
Does anybody think that this deal would have happened if DirectEye didn't have new GTLDs applications?
Interesting.
No. I think what we still don't know, and I'd be interested what you guys think, is in the registrar, which one's going to have the leverage? On one hand, the registrars can say you can't sell to the public unless you come through our gateway, and the registries can say, well, you don't have anything new to sell people unless you sell our stuff. So I took this as interesting in that if the registries, instead of having to pay for placement at a bunch of different unaffiliated registrars, if they own a couple, then that's at least a place where they know that their TLD is going to get prime placement, and they don't have to, go into a competitive situation, Rick, like we talked about 700 of them, how to get your .forum above .wiki above .someone's, and where's it going to place. If you own a registrar and you're running a bunch of registries, and we're seeing those kind of karetsus form, of groups, then I think that's going to be a way that they can make sure that some people are at least seeing their new TLD when it comes out, as opposed to competing based upon dollars.
Right, and then they also, I guess, worth noting that not only did they supposedly going to buy DirectEye for the 100 to 110 million, but they also agreed to put up, I think it was $62 million or up to $62 million to obtain the GTLDs and the auctions. So
what's up with that, where you can bid in an auction, and if you lose, you get the money?
Yeah, well,
It just lets you bid more, and seems to raise the value of all the auctions.
We can, so the deal is basically, under the rule book, at the end of the day, you go to an ICANN auction and high bid wins. Up until that point, you can work things out between the applicants, and so the applicants sort of came up with the idea. Actually, we were one of the ones that came up with the idea too. I right at the dot of having the applicants sort of hold the auctions, not only so they can sort of split the proceeds, since they're the ones who put up the investment, number one, but they can also determine when the auction is going to be held sooner rather than later. I mean, ICANN still hasn't held an auction yet, and there's been 2 sets of private auctions held. So if you're in a set, if you're in an auction and you're sitting around and waiting to figure out whether or not you're going to get a particular string or not, there's obviously a huge advantage of doing it sooner than waiting potentially for a year or two to see whether or not you're going to win this thing at auction.
Yeah. Rick, do you think there's going to be more acquisitions or mergers when we get closer to the new TLDs? Could GoDaddy be looking at acquiring some top-level domains of their own, which they'll be able to promote more heavily and make a higher profit on?
Well, I don't know what GoDaddy's plans are, but as far as mergers and acquisitions, you're going to see a crap load of them, because 700 guys aren't going to be able to survive, and the consolidation is going to come. So let's say 700 over 2 years means at least over 1 new extension a day for 2 straight years. Every business day of the year for 2 straight years. Definitely going to be lots of consolidation. Absolutely, positively. And You may even see some large outside company come into our space with make a big footprint.
Hey, Mike.
Certainly shrunk the number of registrars we have with the Register, Netsol coming together, Enom name and the ones that they manage coming together, Dotster getting rolled up inside this one coming together. We really shrunk the number of consumer-facing registrars that are out there, smaller and smaller, and I still haven't figured out what that means for me, but I'm trying to.
Well, I think that if GoDaddy goes after any of these, they'll go after and register .upsells.
GoDaddy initially had a couple of applications in for new GTLDs and then pulled them out. Earlier in the spring when they had a meeting of registrars and registries at GoDaddy, they decided, made an announcement that they decided to stay as a registrar. Didn't want to compete with their registry customers, so they yanked out the applications they had submitted. So I wouldn't expect them, unless they have a humongous change in management and policy, to become a registry at this point.
Paige, what the hell's going on over there?
Paige is trying to straddle his chair.
Claude Von Damme, it's go time.
Well, since we're on Paige,
the
since we're on Paige, I think that Paige got it good in today's show by not owning his own .la when he's pushing the crap out of them. So you got him good, Michael.
Thank you. All right, guys. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, just a quick thing on the .la, and this is serious, isn't a joke. Originally, all the people in California used to register .ca, the Canadian CCTLD, because they thought it was like California. And in the drops, they were always going after citynames.ca, which I thought was kind of funny, but they always went pretty high. So now they're going to have to convert from .ca for California to .la, so it'll be interesting.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
All right,
no
guys.
No land rush, no gold rush. You can buy them right now. Bring it on.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks for the after show.
Hold on. You mean there's no rush at all, Paige? Isn't that what you're saying?
Well, that too, but,
Anyway.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Michael.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, guys.